The day of Eid al-Adha was chosen for Saddam Hussein's execution.
الحكم على المدان صدام حسين المجيد بالإعدام شنقا حتى الموت لارتكاب
He was publicly hanged on December 30, 2006. When Saddam Hussein was brought to the gallows, he was reciting Durood Sharif, salutations on the Prophet. He also once recited the Shahada, the Islamic declaration of faith, greater than Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Before he could even finish, the platform beneath his feet was pulled. Thus, a man who had attacked two nations, used power ruthlessly in his own country, and looked enemies in the eye, himself became a victim of conspiracy. His own people celebrated his execution. Since Saddam's death, Iraq has never recovered. This is the story of Saddam Hussein, who was once the president of Iraq. For 24 years, he ruled a nation rich in oil. There was a time when no one dared to challenge him even at night. He had control over everything, and people trembled just at the mention of his name. Saddam was born on April 28, 1937, in a small village in Iraq. Before his birth, both his father and brother had died of cancer. After his birth, his mother remarried. His stepfather used to abuse him, so Saddam ran away from home at the age of 10 and went to live with his uncle in Baghdad. There, he received education and later entered politics. At the age of 20, he left his studies and joined the Revolutionary Ba'ath Party. It was a very small party, with only about 300 members. Just a year after he joined, the monarchy in Iraq was overthrown. Saddam planned to assassinate the president, and with the help of his comrades, he made an attempt on the president's life, but failed. Fearing arrest, he fled the country. When the Ba'ath Party came into power, Saddam returned. Only 13 days after the new government was formed, Saddam took his first major step. It is said that the then Prime Minister Abdul Razak al-Naif posed a threat of rebellion, so Saddam had him killed. Now Saddam had become the second most powerful man in Iraq. Even though someone else held the title of president, the real power was in Saddam's hands. He had also become a general in the army. Finally, on July 16, 1979, Saddam forced the president to resign and declared himself president of Iraq. Now he was not only the president, but also the supreme commander of the armed forces. As soon as he became president, he decided to purge his party of traitors. Just 6 days later, on July 22nd, he called a meeting of party leaders. In this meeting, the names of those involved in double dealing were read aloud. 68 members were labeled traitors and disloyal, dragged out of the room, and shot dead by a firing squad already waiting outside. In 1980, Saddam attacked Iran. The war lasted 8 years. Neither side gained much, but around 1 million people lost their lives. Soon after the Iran war, Saddam began trouble with Kuwait. First, he demanded that Kuwait forgive Iraq's debt. When Kuwait refused, he demanded an increase in oil prices. Kuwait refused again, so in 1990, Saddam invaded Kuwait and took it over. The world saw Saddam's actions as aggressive conspiracies, so the U.S. launched Operation Desert Storm, the largest military campaign since World War II. In just a few days, Iraq's military was completely crushed. After that, Saddam never dared attack another country again. In January 2002, U.S. President George W. Bush declared that Saddam would be overthrown, accusing Iraq of possessing weapons of mass destruction. Even though inspectors found no such weapons, the U.S. invaded Iraq in March 2003. Within 3 weeks, Saddam's 24-year rule collapsed. The U.S. had full control of Iraq. Saddam went into hiding. The U.S. launched Operation Red Dawn to capture him. Finally, in December, they found him hiding in a bunker near his village. When he was pulled out, his beard was long, and his hair had grown wild. He looked so disheveled that some believed he might not even be alive. After capturing him, the U.S. charged him with the mass killing of 150 people. His trial was conducted by a transitional government, which was considered a U.S. puppet. Saddam was found guilty of the 1982 massacre and other crimes, and he was sentenced to death. He rejected the charges and said, "The real criminal is President George Bush, not me." At his first hearing, when the judge asked for his name, Saddam responded, "I am an Iraqi, and you know very well who I am." Throughout the trial, Saddam insisted that he was still the rightful president of Iraq. When a judge called him the former president, Saddam protested, saying he was still president and should not be referred to as former. Finally, on December 30th, 2006, the day of Eid al-Adha, Saddam Hussein was publicly executed. People recorded the hanging on their mobile phones, and within minutes, the footage spread across the world. When Saddam was brought to the gallows, he was reciting Durud Sharif, and he once again recited the Shahada, greater than, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah.